We have our Women's Championship match for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. A lot of looking at Aleister Black tonight and some really quick but hard-hitting matches. It's all right now on the NXT After Show. Stay with us.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh. Man, it's really difficult. Every single time we get the Velveteen Dream on NXT to not play the song. And you know what? Even though Bill's not here, I think you would agree with our decision.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
100%. Welcome to the NXT After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. We're going to be talking about this week's episode of NXT. I'm one of your hosts, the internet's Mark B. Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. I'm exhausted. Well, I just said I'm Mark B. Donica. But the person next to me, who hi exhausted, I'm Dad. Here is the one and only True Hobo.
Yep, that's me at True Hobo on the Twitter. There's a match up from last Friday's Wrestling Pro Wrestling Me versus Tristan Archer, also known as Clement Pateau, from the CWC, and it was a pretty hard-hitting match.
Yeah, he was coming at you pretty rough.
Brother can bring it.
Yeah.
Felt good. Felt real good.
Did it?
Yeah. I enjoy it when a guy can really lay it in. It felt good to scratch that itch. Hard to explain. But there's like an itch in your brain that is only satisfied by some guy just cocking back and hitting you as hard as he can.
When you can, where can the folks watch that?
Well, you can watch it on Twitch.
You've been tweeting that out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure.
I mean, it's still fresh.
Yeah.
It's not even a week old yet. So I'd like people to watch it. It's right on the top of almost on the top of my Twitter page right now. I retweeted it from the Wrestling Pro
Didn't you pin
Wrestling
it?
official thing. No, I still got my NXT.
Oh, that's right.
And New Japan stuff pinned up there. So I think it's New Japan. Yeah. In any case, I'm very important.
Hashtag stop
I'm
resisting.
super cool.
Speaking of stopping of the resisting,
Yep.
This week's show starts off with Ember Moon versus Lady Tapa. Lady.
Well, lady. And I
lady.
like it said lady.
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 Lady Tapa.
Lady Tapa.
Lady.
Very good. Well, I can't read the word that I put on my notes, but holy crap, is Tapa strong?
She's sizable. Obviously,
She's
sizable
a very
challenger.
large opponent.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Ember Moon, not the tallest superstar in the NXT roster.
No.
But putting her up against Lady Tapa was a really interesting decision.
Well, I'd say this was a real test. And I think Lady Tapa knew coming in that this was a test for her, just because this is the #1 contender, and it's an absolute certified fact. This is the #1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship. So if you are able to knock off the #1 contender, if you're able to get a victory over the #1 contender, that puts you in as a top prospect for the title. Arguably not right away, but definitely if the #1 contender loses, or if they win, that puts you a step closer to that championship.
That definitely jumps you closer to the front of the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't start from the back.
No.
I mean, even though you're just coming in, she came out swinging, literally, just bowled her over in the corner.
She has that size advantage. She knew it right away, so she took advantage of it and put Ember Moon definitely on the defensive right away. And it was tough because of the size of Lady Tapa for Ember Moon to come back. And it was a game that was interesting to play because Lady Tapa, arguably, looking back, should have used her power to slow down the pace a little bit more.
Agreed.
But she gave a little bit too much room to Ember Moon, and as a result, she was able to get some offense and put her away. But that does not discount the offense that Lady Tapa was able to bring. It was top-notch offense.
I definitely agree. I think her main problem is maybe she wasn't as too familiar with Ember Moon. Like, knowing, oh, sure, I have to watch out for the Eclipse, but that's a move where she goes off of the top rope. So that moment where it looked like Tapa was going to meet Ember at the top and throw off or do whatever, I think that was a little bit of a miscue. I think that she should have known that's Ember's territory. If you have a move that features that part of the ring, you have to know it backwards and forwards. You have to know all of the balancing, this, that, other thing. That's her domain, essentially.
Yeah.
So to go into her domain and figure, no, I'll make it work. And that's when we saw that switch around vertical suplex.
Right, which is, I think Lady Tapa was expecting maybe, and as commentary called it, perhaps a tornado DDT.
Tornado suplex.
But that's what it ended up being, and I think that's where the problem was. Is I think Lady Tapa was ready to hold her in the air, or maybe change it there, but then her feet hit the ground, and she went, "What's happening?" And a snap suplex. I've seen it done by various individuals, and it works incredibly well because it changes the weight distribution. It puts it on a hinge like a teeter-totter, and all of a sudden the weight coming down creates this effect that brings the other person up off of their feet because their head's now over their toes and they're off balance. And that's truly the way you get a vertical suplex like of the snapping variety. It has to do with weight distribution, and you bring a person's weight over their toes and you push into their hip. It creates the snap that's necessary to get them onto their back.
Yeah.
So and that worked incredibly well.
Yeah, that's where everything changed, and Ember Moon was in the driver's seat. And she put Tapa away really, really quickly. There was a single leg drop kick and a series of kicks, and there was like a forearm in there, which led to Tapa getting knocked down, hitting the Eclipse for the win. Super, super quick.
Yeah.
It was remarkable.
If we see this again, I would have to expect that this matchup would go for much longer the second time around. Both competitors having felt each other out and really knowing each other much better. But I think these two were definitely a force in the ring tonight.
And this definitely won't be the last time we see these two in the ring.
Oh my gosh, no.
And I hope not either.
Lady Tapa, I don't think she's going anywhere. She looked
Goodness,
incredibly comfortable.
I believe it was Joseph Bose in the chat who mentioned that she is an alternate for the Mae Young Classic, which is going to be airing August 28th.
And I hope for everybody's sake that she stays on that alternate list, or she will change the course of things.
Now, it was brought up in chat by Ron Corleone, and actually, I wanted to mention really quick, we are live. In case you're watching this after the fact, we record this live at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right after NXT goes off the air. So that means, by going live, that you can be a part of the conversation by being in our YouTube live chat. That means you follow us on Twitter, you follow AfterBuzz TV on Twitter, you follow our broadcast partner Bill Hanstock on Twitter at Sundown Motel, and that way you know when we go live. And you can join us in the chat and become a part of the conversation and become our fellow co-hosts. We've got a lot of people in chat this week, but I wanted to bring up Ron Corleone. He mentioned, still kind of wish that Ember had another finisher and used the Eclipse for big-time matches. Now, do you agree with that or disagree? Because we've been seeing more wrestlers, and I point out specifically, almost said her other name for a minute, Sonya Deville, who has multiple ways that she can take out an opponent, whereas Ember, once we know she's climbing the top rope, either she's going to miss and whiff and get taken out, or she could seriously hurt somebody like she did Billie Kay and end up winning matches.
Right. I'd say if it works, then continue to do it. It's all in the setup. The more you do it, the more you expose the move itself. You expose its strengths and its weaknesses, and that allows your opponent to understand how to survive it if they indeed hit the move in particular, this being the Eclipse, or how to completely avoid it altogether. And in that case, then she'll have to have a backup. We've seen it multiple times with other female competitors. They have their standard finish, but once somebody starts to be able to kick out of that because they've overexposed the move, then they have a secondary that they can go to as an alternate finish in case, God forbid, somebody isn't able to be taken out by move 1. And they'll have move 2 in their back pocket.
And to put it in at least WWE 2K terms or video game terms, what is Ember's signature move? You know, this is her finisher, but what is Ember's signature move that sort of sets people up for it?
Seems to be that front flipping forearm. That seems to be
the in the
setup.
corner.
She
in the
smashes because it's such a hard smash. The way she's able to pop up to her feet, gives her that much more force with that forearm. She lands that, pulls them to the side, hop up to the top, and while they're struggling to get back to their feet, she has enough time to set up and then hits the Eclipse.
Good call, good call. After this, she gets on the mic and aggressively is calling Asuka out. I want Asuka at TakeOver Brooklyn. I will give her everything that she desires in a worthy opponent. She is ready to defeat the undefeatable, but is Asuka ready to take on Ember Moon? This was fine. Like, to be perfectly honest, there are other times when Ember Moon has been on the microphone, and sometimes she may not have been, and I think this speaks to her growth, where she may not have been as sure of what she was trying to say and unsure of what she wanted. But after getting taken out of the scene so many times, whether it be from injury, whether it be from that attack that Asuka did that took her out of the Fatal 4-Way match, or the possibility of, or no, it was decided, that took her out of the Fatal 4-Way match at the last TakeOver. She knows exactly what she wants. She knows how she's going to get it. She is ready, and I think this promo, her on the mic, is showing us we're getting a new lunar cycle when it comes to Ember Moon.
She has had to climb the mountain, and it's not been an easy climb, especially for somebody who has the athletic gifts that she has. She's managed to make it so far, and then somehow something happens, like you said, and she slides back down. So she's had to constantly continue her ascent, and then slide, and then continue. So it's made her smarter. You're only as smart as your defeats allow you to be. Wins don't give you much. You don't learn from a win. You learn from a defeat. And I think that she's been met with enough, maybe not necessarily losses, but definitely moments where she's had to reevaluate how she approaches something from injury or something else. Absolutely.
Roadblocks, end of the line.
And have to figure out how to overcome and persevere in a place where there are literally 100 people behind you who want your spot. And that's very important to keep in mind.
And especially now with this new crop of women coming in with the Mae Young Classic.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Like, that line is getting longer and longer, and you won't exactly be able to fast pass it anymore.
If you slide, then somebody's going to step right up in front of you. Like, there's no room for anything but growth and progression. If you aren't able to grow and become better, then there is somebody who is willing to take your spot.
Maria Net in chat is saying that Asuka is close to breaking Demolition's record and going after New Day's record for days holding the title.
I believe it.
Woohoo! I mean, it's coming up. We're still a month away from TakeOver at this point. So,
and Asuka is still on vacation.
Well, she's going to be back next week. We found out later in the show.
Oh, but still, she's still on vacation, still soaking up the sun at her compound.
At her palatial estate.
Yes.
Asuka's palatial estate. Boy. After this, we get a really creepy, really awesome, really dark, really brooding, really menacing Aleister Black package.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you weren't sold on this guy, like, initially, I remember us talking, Bill included, about never wanting to hear him speak, about him just being this entity that exists in the back. Every once in a while, you might see him, like, puffing in and out of the darkness and the light, and like just being adverse to it. But this was really good. This was awesome. This was scary.
Very well produced.
Yeah.
And I think that shows that you can have him speak, but it has to be in limited quantities. It has to be controlled. He can never simply speak at length. Everything he says has to have a point. And I think that everything that was said during this video and the video to follow were very specific to who he is and what he is bringing with him to NXT and to WWE as a whole. He's dangerous, and he has been crafted by time. I believe that time and pressure can create diamonds, and this is a black diamond we're watching be exposed in front of us. Very, very dangerous individual.
I will say, since you brought it up, the fact that we got a second Aleister Black promo, and my issue with the second one is it feels like it was done by a different team. It feels like it was created by a different, like, they shot, and now we're going into the production side, so excuse us, but you know, you have a set for a given amount of time. Let's get this line, that line. Let's just get everything so we have options. And it looks like they gave it to one person, and they made the first one, and they gave it to a second person, and they made something similar.
Yeah, I mean, it's although I somehow I have to question whether or not that was the case, but it may be that they had two different sets of ideas in mind in trying to shoot them, and what they got across. They were definitely trying to showcase his tattoos. They were trying to give just the mood, getting his finisher across to the audience of how he's able to set that up and how he's able to execute it.
But that's the thing. Why do those two different, not entirely different, but those semi-different messages in one show?
They could have broken it up and had it on two different episodes, and we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah. So if the first promo led into next week, Aleister Black will be in action, or if we're not getting him in action next week, then that second promo can be used next week to hit that home. Right. You know, they do this so that we can keep certain people on our mind, just because
keep them fresh.
Exactly, keep them fresh, so that you're always thinking about, oh, well, I want to see what that Aleister Black does next. Yeah. Same thing, they've done it with Velveteen Dream, they've done it with Almas, they've done it with Jose, they've done it with a lot, they've done it with Ember Moon, they've done it with Asuka, countless people, just to get them, to keep them on our collective consciousness. Drew Galloway, of course. Why did I say that? Drew McIntyre.
Because it happens.
Because that's
it happens.
Yeah. Hi Daria. But that sort of thing of it was just a curious production thing to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's
especially on such a quote light show.
Right. They could have split it up. They could have. But that sort of leaves us wondering what they have next week, if Aleister Black will actually be in action, or if he will, have another package devoted to him. But I sort of don't want another package. I want another match.
Yeah.
After seeing this, I'm like, I want to see him kick another dude in the face.
Do you want to share what you were saying during the package?
Yeah, absolutely. I want him to kick me in the face. I want to go back to NXT and get a match with Aleister Black so that he can kick me full force in the face. I look forward to it. I welcome it with open arms, because that is a test for me. Can I survive? I just look at it like trying to wrestle a train and it's coming at you. Like, I could stop this train with my feet, or I could be blown into a million pieces. I kind of want to find out which is going to happen, but there's only one way to do it. I'm excited.
Do you want to say it to the camera? Do you want to challenge him at the camera?
Aleister Black, I want to take on the Black Mass. Bring it on.
All right, and I'm going to pull that so that you can have that for social media.
Yeah.
A lot of people, or several people in chat aren't going to be surprised if Aleister Black has something to do on SummerSlam weekend, on Takeover weekend. Where do you see him at Takeover? Because right now matches are starting to fill up.
He's got this interesting position right now. I'd say it's akin to a lot of other guys in the past. I think he's actually one of the best guys to put against incoming talent. You saw him against Bob Fish. And I know he will be taking on another debuting talent, not to spoil anything. But I think if you were able to bring in another higher level outside talent to face him at NXT Takeover that weekend, I think that would be the best use of him and his abilities.
I know it's a little late in the game because I'm pretty sure they've already taped everything. But what if we got something like a Jushin Thunder Liger?
That would be great. I'd be happy for that. But you know what just comes to mind? You know who's got nothing to do right now? Chad Gable. And I think Chad Gable would be able to bring it to him. And it would be a clash.
What would that match be like?
A clash of styles. That would be really something to watch. Because Chad Gable, he's fast and he's good with takedowns. And we know that Aleister Black likes a standing game. So what better test for how he's able to maneuver than Chad Gable, who is fast and deadly with the takedowns?
I would say to that regard, we don't know if it's... well, we're going to talk about it in a second, but depending on how the thing between Andrade and Jose goes, if they take care of their thing within the next couple of weeks, I think Jose versus Aleister Black would be
Tell you about a clash of styles.
very entertaining because it's literally black versus white.
Yeah,
it's like purity versus evil.
Yeah, happiness versus to the opposite. Depression, apathy. Yeah.
Like I'm sure we're gonna see that match at some point. I hope that it's in NXT.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to this wonderful tag contest between David Ramos and Timothy Bumpers versus the Authors of Pain. But before we get an opportunity for this to happen, Nikki Cross stops the Authors so that Dane and Wolf can attack Ramos and Bumpers, and then we get a rumble between the Authors of Pain and Sanity.
I almost feel that Sanity was doing this tag team, this incoming Bumpers and Ramos, a favor by taking them out early, so they didn't have to face the Authors of Pain and maybe, you know, die. So that was a whole interesting way of it playing out. As soon as I saw Nikki Cross, so I'm like, those guys in the ring better put their heads on a swivel. And of course,
they did.
Wolf comes right in and goes for that German out of nowhere. Poor guy had no clue what was happening.
Seriously.
Oh, and then Dane running the other one over. It's rough when you're fighting a tag team that really just lives on guerrilla warfare tactics.
Yeah.
They love coming from the back. They love hitting you where you have no idea where they're coming from. And they'll make it personal, as you saw with the book a couple of weeks ago, completely shredding that book and having it rain down from the rafters, and then Wolf eating it. He's an odd one.
Yeah, but he's like in that group, in that stable of, and this is no offense to Wolf, but in that stable of people that have such a reputation behind them, you gotta stand out.
Oh yeah.
And Wolf is standing among them, which I'm so happy for him, because we've been doing the show for a little while now, and we've seen Wolf from when he first came in. We're like, oh, this guy's pretty cool, and then we didn't really see him for too long, and now he's just a crazy person.
Yeah.
And it's really entertaining.
Yeah. And he's good on the mic, too. I think if Sanity were to implode, because it will be an implosion. It will not explode. It'll be an implosion.
I think
he could do well on his own.
I think they're just going to get in a fight, and whoever wins is going to eat the other ones.
Yes. No, cannibalism probably is. That's how you take their essence and their power into you so that you become the Sanity itself. Yeah.
Very good.
I believe in cannibalism.
Although
freeing the heart from the chest cavity,
it's difficult.
It's tough.
You need the right tools.
Right, yeah. Just a really good pair of pliers. It's hard to find, though.
Marianette in chat is saying this could be an NXT tag team match at TakeOver, Sanity versus AOP. We could see the tag titles change at TakeOver.
Tough to say.
Very tough to say. In the period between the last TakeOver and now, we haven't seen too much of the Authors of Pain. We have seen them in one sort of squash a match where they just literally squashed people.
It's what we were supposed to have tonight.
Then them versus Heavy Machinery.
Yep.
Which was literally monumental.
Seriously.
The first of its kind. But I don't know. Sanity, I think Sanity doesn't ever know what they want. They don't have a long-term goal. It seems like they don't have a long-term goal.
But they don't have a plan. They're like, we want the titles. How do we get the titles? I don't know. We just go and get them. Like that's not a plan.
Joseph Buzz says Nikki wants gold. She failed to stop Asuka in the last woman standing, and maybe her guiding Dane and Wolf will fulfill that lust for gold that she has.
She got gold fever.
Yeah.
I've had it before.
Courteous Histophorus, AOP versus Sanity versus Heavy Machinery in an Applebee's on a pole match.
A whole Applebee's.
Yeah.
The whole damn franchise up on a pole.
No, it's like they use the arm with the shark cage, but it's an Applebee's.
It's a whole Applebee's hanging.
Well, no, it's like a 2 out of 3 falls match, but it's like meals.
Oh.
Like you have to get through appetizers, main course, and dessert.
This is getting silly.
I like it.
I think Heavy Machinery's down 100%. You could put them in for that match. They'll gladly stand in line for that.
Now, something that we talked about when this whole kerfuffle was over was the crowd doesn't necessarily have a dog in this fight.
They don't know who they want. I think they want Sanity because Sanity's anti-establishment, and everybody to a degree has an anti-establishment streak in them. And Sanity, because you never know what they're going to do, they become more fun to watch over time.
Wolf?
Right, so I don't think they like anybody, but they're intrigued. But they don't necessarily want to see one particular party come out a winner. They just want to see them club each other as hard as they can.
Yeah, Sanity seems like that like dark part of yourself where you can never go to that extra place. But watching people, sort of like a Batman or a Wolverine.
Yeah.
Burn
it down. Burn it all down.
Yeah. It's like, you do it because I can't, and I'll live through you vicariously.
Right.
So yeah, because I mean, both are responsible for taking on some of the crowd favorites when it comes to, at least at the time, Gargano and Ciampa, and like for Sanity, Ty Dillinger, Roddy Strong, No Way Jose. Sorry, your shirt is folded in such a way where Sammy just looks like a total. It's like eyes and then mouth. You can't. It's now I really can't unseen it. Thank you. So yeah, Nikki holds her boys back. Authors of Pain stand tall. The Street Profits are coming, and Hobo, we've been waiting for this for a long time.
Yeah.
We've been hearing about the street, like the word on the street are these Profits are going to come in and make a splash, and we've been waiting a while for the Street Profits.
I don't know what to expect from these guys.
Are we going to see them
the most fun?
Are we going to see them debut at Takeover?
I think, it's a perfect place.
Who do they debut against?
Oh, I don't know. That's not.
Actually, no. We talked about this exact thing the last time they played a promo, and we talked about Sabatelli and Moss.
Yeah. You're right. No, that would be a perfect opposition party for them. Literal party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll bring the party.
Absolutely. This is gonna be fun. It's just gonna be fun. We need a little bit more of that. Wrestling's great, but boy, it's gotta have personality. You have to enjoy yourself, or what's the point?
AOP versus Sanity is the WWE version of the League of Assassins versus the Joker Gang.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Nice cut. NXT's coming soon promos drive me up the wall. Either give us a definite time or don't bother.
Never are they going to give you a definite time, because card subject to change.
Oh, always. But
Always.
I'll never forget that one Raw after WrestleMania when we got the Adrian Neville promo, and then he came out like a half an hour later. Like,
wait, you're here.
Oh, you're here?
Coming soon as in 30 minutes.
Then we got a little bit of a follow-up from No Way Jose and Andrade Almas last week. Jose was confronted by Zelina. Admires Jose for how he handles his business, but they got in the way of their business. And Jose has lit a fire under Andrade that he can't dance around. Awesome.
Well said. And Jose was confused as to what was going to happen next. If something was going to happen next, he seemed to be kind of wary about what any of this means, and if he was going to be jumped.
No, because I thought that he was going to get jumped, which I think is better, because then you keep Jose's head on a swivel.
Right.
Just like, is he going
to...
Okay.
Because if it happens more often than not...
He's going to start dancing and then stop and then turn around. He's going to find himself doing a whole lot of like 180 turns, like heel turn, heel turn, heel turn, heel turn. All right, let's get to the hotness. Velveteen Dream versus Cesar Bononi.
This guy's been working a lot. He's been getting his reps in, as they say.
And he brought it. Dream started the way he usually does, with those big clubbing blows, like clotheslines, back of the head. And those hurt. Those hurt a lot.
But, I mean, as you have to compare them to some of the other people that he's faced, you got Ho-Ho Lun, who just went down from one of those.
Ho-Ho Lun's like 60 pounds.
Exactly, but Cesar Bononi is not.
No.
Cesar Bononi's a big man.
They were pretty even when it came to height.
I think he's a little taller.
Can't tell because of Dream's hair.
Right. I think he's a little bit taller, and he's got a few more pounds. I mean, when you look at Dream is so lean. Bononi is not heavy set by any means. He's actually stepped up his physique. He's looking great. But it took more for Dream to lay it in on Bononi. And Bononi was, I think this was by far the best match that Bononi has had.
Because we've seen a couple. We've seen a couple, not just on TV, but live as well.
Yeah, and we've been able to. We saw something from just his repertoire in the ring tonight was much broader than it had been. No more, or much less, just kick and punch. He was able to change it up, and he brought it to Dream. And Dream, I'd say, I don't want to say he barely escaped with the victory, but it certainly was far less one-sided this time around. Benoni was definitely there and was meeting Dream, because I think he understands that this is an opportunity for him to slow the momentum of the Velveteen Dream, who has not suffered a loss since, I guess, rebranding himself. And it would be a hard stop for Cesar Benoni to pull it off, but he understood that it was important for him to do so.
Very much so. And it showed. He fired back with those big rights. Yeah. Like, very impressive game from Caesar. Atomic drop, which went right into a drop kick. What looked like a Michinoku driver, or at least not a body slam, but like a body drop.
Yeah, it was a bit
body
of
driver.
Michinoku.
Yeah, Michinoku. But Dream countered it, gets back up and hits his what do they call it? A Death Valley bomb.
Yeah,
where he just roll through
his feet. Yeah,
which is crazy for a dude that size.
Yeah,
but we know Dream to be agile. Oh, is he agile? And then he jumps up on the top rope, hits that elbow drop, and
it's a beautiful elbow.
It's
really the way he's able to corner the head, especially. He's not dropping it on the heart. The guy isn't able to protect himself like you normally would, going to the abdomen. He's able to, normally a guy's able to cross his hands and sort of bring his chest together so that he's able to guard his body a little bit more from the blow. The way Dream does it, he drops it 100% on the head, and you just can't protect your head like that.
No.
You just can't.
No matter what, even if you try to block, you're
liable to break your arm.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of
easier just to take the bow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. After the match, he gets interviewed and is asked, "What are your goals here in NXT?" "What are your goals?" "You want to interview with the Dream?" He's like, you with that kind of cute outfit, it's passable.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just you, sure, but doesn't want to give an interview in front of the ugliness that is the NXT universe. I don't blame him. You've been there. You've seen those people. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Florida people.
Everybody's just they've just got a little bit of film on them.
Yeah, it's humid.
It's so hot down there.
The moss grows on the trees. It grows on the people. Sometimes you can't help it. It's everywhere. It's
no
just
offense to our viewers and listeners in Florida.
No,
this is a joke.
I've
Only
been
a
there.
joke.
It's sticky. Oh, so sticky.
No, we're done talking about Dream. No, wait, no, we're not.
So
We're in the middle.
But I think this is exactly who he is. He believes he is absolutely the best, and that he should not stoop so low as to expose himself in front of people who do not deserve to see his greatness on display. It's got to be earned. With him, any appearance is an appearance that has to be earned. And so far, we have not earned the grace that is his interview presence. We've had him in the ring, which is good. That's how you have to earn the money. But he doesn't have to do interviews. That's not something that's written in.
What if it's him and Black?
Him and Aleister?
Yeah.
Could be good. Could be good. I think it's a little too
soon. Early. Yeah.
A little too soon for that.
But that could be something that could build up a bit.
Yeah.
Because Jose's a guy that everybody loves already, and not to say that he would, but if he were to suffer a loss from Aleister Black, I don't think it would affect him that much.
Yeah, he's
a big boy. He can come back from that.
Yeah, he's had some losses before, and I don't think it's dampened his momentum at all. He's still there. He's still a force to be reckoned with. He's one of the largest guys, Jose, and I think he's whether he wins or loses, it will not affect him very much, to say, if any.
Really quickly, Maria Net friend of the show, Marionette. See, this is what I'm talking about. We got people live commenting, adds new layers to the conversation.
They're members of the NXT team.
Yes, they are, and you can be too if you go to nxteam.spreadshirt.com and help support us by picking up some of our shirts. We love you. Marionette says, "What if he were on the main roster? We could see Dream versus Bray Wyatt.
Boy, that's...
Dream versus Nightmare.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of weird feelings. A lot of, like, very weird feelings.
Very weird.
Very weird. That could be good.
And it'd be dirty for all the wrong reasons.
Yep. No, that would be kind of like sex in a truck stop bathroom. Yeah.
Like it. Not exactly that.
I wasn't a ringing endorsement for it, but I'd say it would be as if.
As if.
As if.
Well, you know what? Let's completely pivot away from what Hobo just said. Before we move on, we don't have a sponsor this week, but I did want to mention iTunes. We don't mention it too often, but we have a little bit of time today, and it helps us out a lot. We've been getting a lot more new listeners, new viewers, a lot of folks who join us live on YouTube, and a lot of people who have been listening to us on iTunes. So there's something that you can do to help us out, and it'll only take you about 30 seconds. You go to iTunes and you leave us a review. It's that simple. Leave us 5 stars, because all of the 1 through 4, they just don't work.
It's
really,
broken.
yeah, it's a weird, it's delete, but it's so yeah, leave us a rating. And not just in stars, but also give us a little bit of a talking to. We haven't gotten any new reviews in quite some time, so please, it helps us out. It helps keep us in the ratings when people look for wrestling podcasts, and we really enjoy doing this. I love being able to talk to Bill. Hobo's cool tool. No, I love being able to talk to Hobo on.
You just called me a tool.
I did.
Just called me a cool
No,
tool.
Hobo 2.
Two?
Not
I heard tool.
Oh well.
Called me a tool.
Selective hearing. But if you enjoy the show, please leave us a rating. It helps us out a lot. And if you're watching this on YouTube, head over to iTunes. If you're listening to this on iTunes, head over to YouTube. Leave us comments. We can answer those a lot easier than just a regular comment on iTunes. But if you leave us an iTunes comment, we can read it on the air, give you a shout out, give you your just desserts. We'd really appreciate it. Also, that is a funny comment that I'm going to read in a second. If you're in an international territory, if you're not in the United States, unfortunately, we can only see the United States reviews. So if you're in the UK, if you're in Mexico, if you're in Canada, if you're in Japan, if you're in Australia, take a picture of your review and send it to us on Twitter using the hashtag NXTeam, and that way we can read it on the air, and you can join us in the NXT.
We can't see the international stuff?
It's an iTunes thing.
No, how did that happen? That's stupid.
Whatever type of an account you have as an iTunes listener, that's the store that you see. So if you sign into the Japanese store, then you can see Japanese things. You sign into the Mexico store, you can see the Mexican stuff. But yeah, please leave us iTunes reviews, leave us comments on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. There's going to be some fun stuff coming down the pipeline as it concerns the NXT after shows. It concerns all of the wrestling after shows. And while we're talking about it, check out all of our other wrestling after shows. We've got X-Pac 12360. Last week we had the White Lion of NXT, Alex Riley, as well as and in studio, which was pretty cool. And then this week we had Medusa, or Alundra Blaze, depending on how you know her. But it was an awesome interview. Her and Shawn are old friends. There's a bit that they did for WWE TV where they went skydiving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, whereas
right.
Blaze and Kid go skydiving. And we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of backstage stories, a lot of silliness. It's one of those things where you're really a fly on the wall of two friends catching up. Highly recommend that. But also, friend of the show and member of the NXT team, Dale Rutledge, has a brand new show here on AfterBuzz TV. It is called Ringside Pop. Now, it is a wrestling show, but it's also a pop culture show. So some weeks are going to be a little bit more wrestling heavy. Some weeks are going to be a little bit more pop culture heavy. But we've always have people from the pro wrestling world coming in. Our first show was about the impact of women's wrestling, and it had to do with Glow, the Mae Young Classic. And we had Laura James, Taya Valkyrie on a special guest. But our regular panel is
Laura was on?
Yeah.
I missed that. Oh, haven't seen her in a minute.
Yeah, no, she was great. Our regular hosts for the show are Dale, Kia Stevens, who you might know as Awesome Kong, or Welfare Queen if you watch Glow, and Marty Elias, WWE and Lucha Underground referee. It's a great team. He loves Kiss. He wears a different Kiss shirt every show. So
I've seen it too.
Yeah. So that was he made a custom ringside pop ref shirt with Kiss on it.
Because why not?
Because why not?
Black and white, and sure.
Yeah, we have a budget.
Yeah.
And episode 2 is about comic book conventions, or just conventions in general. And we had Mark Warzeka, who works with New Japan, and Kathy Kelly. We had Kathy Kelly back in the studio, and oh boy, was it great to see her again. But we had a lot of fun talking about conventions and such. So make sure to check out Ringside Pop. That is on iTunes and on YouTube. This next week's episode is going to be about Japan, and that's Japanese wrestling and just the country of Japan. Mark Warzeka will return, as well as friend of the show, Rocky Romero. So please subscribe to the Ringside Pop on iTunes, leave some reviews there, and check us out. We're live late Sunday, early Monday when it comes to iTunes and YouTube. So please, shout out Kathy, let her know that the NXT team misses her. And also make sure that you check out Ringside Pop every Sunday, as well as our Monday Night Raw show, our Tuesday Night SmackDown show, and our Lucha Underground show. And maybe we'll have something for the Million Classic. Either way, thank you so much for sticking with that. Now, let's go on to the last couple of things of the show. Tracy St. Cloud is in the back with William Regal and asks her about Ember Moon's request. Regal thinks that Ember Moon is ready, and so he makes the title match, and it's official. Ember Moon versus Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship at Takeover Brooklyn 3.
Here it is. We were suspecting this would be.
We were suspicious.
Suspecting, and it is. It's here. It's official. We really their first meetup was a hell of a match.
Yeah,
really. And Asuka was so very close to losing her championship, and she decided to cheat to hold on to it. The question now is, what depths is she willing to sink to in order to hold on to it this time?
Yeah.
She's a warrior, but I'd say she's a prize fighter first and a warrior second. She'll fight you, but it'll be as clean as she's winning. And as soon as she's no longer in the driver's seat, I think then she's willing to deviate from said plan and do what is necessary for her to retain her championship. She is, at this point, as synonymous with the NXT Women's Championship as any single competitor to ever be in NXT. She has broken record upon record and has now been holding that title for how many days? It's
an astounding amount of days.
Right. It's just below Demolition and the New Day. So
it's pretty close.
Like she's had this in wrestling years. She's had it forever, and so she is.
It's hard to imagine an NXT without Asuka as the NXT Women's Champion.
Right, because she's had it that long, and she is connected with that belt. The question is, can she live in a world where she is not champion? And what does a world look like where she is no longer champion?
We might find that out
Yeah.
at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. Zeno Hour says, find someone who looks at you the same way Christy looks at William Regal. Hi, Christy. And then after this, we get an amazing set of words from the one, the only Drew McIntyre. He talks about how his previous time where he was the chosen one, but he wasn't ready. He found out at his time away from WWE that he has to only move forward, and he had to be the hardest working person in the room, but he ended up being the hardest working person on the planet. And the more he grew, the more the companies around him grew, and he found out that it's not just one person that makes a company. It's an entire group. And you have to walk side by side with these people to help a company grow. That's why he wanted to sign with NXT, to help it grow, to be with these amazing talents, which does an amazing help for putting over every single person in the back. Holy crap.
Yep.
And then he goes, well, there's only one person that doesn't walk that path with us, and that's Bobby Roode. And he points out that this is everybody's NXT. We are NXT. It's not one person's NXT. And there was so much fire, so much vinegar, so much vigor, just so much everything in Drew McIntyre that fired out.
Yeah.
I think this isn't just what everybody need. If anybody had any doubts about Drew McIntyre being the #1 contender, but I think this is the type of a thing that the NXT universe as a whole needed to hear.
Yeah. I would say that there are a lot of people who speak to an audience, or speak at an audience. But Drew McIntyre, he put himself in the same place as the audience themselves. He asked them to give their energy to him. He asked them to stand up and unite as one with him against Bobby Roode, who is entitled and sees himself above everything, above the company he's with, above his other competitors, above wrestling itself. He believes that he is above it, but Drew McIntyre is professional wrestling because of how hard he has worked to make himself the best competitor that he can be across any platform, be it in WWE or on the independent scenes working with some of the biggest companies in the world. He has worked tirelessly to craft himself to be the absolute best, and it shows. And I think people respond to that. People understand what it takes for a single individual to become as good as he is. And I think they respect that he is still humble. He is not above asking the audience for help, because that, in reality, is where all of your power in the ring comes from. It comes from the audience. If they are able to give you their energy, you're able to overcome anything.
Yeah.
And he's going to need it against Bobby Roode.
You couldn't go a week without making another Dragon Ball Z reference, could you?
Well, whatever.
Spirit Bomb.
Well, it's
like a
it's
Spirit
true.
Bomb.
I didn't say it, but I was referencing it really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that Marie brought it up in the chat again? But do you think we're either going to get Drew shirts for Brooklyn, or he's just going to come out wearing the We Are NXT shirts?
I actually just want him to wear the We Are NXT shirts. It's a strong message. I mean, it's great for him to have a shirt.
But also he's one that doesn't. I can't see him in the regalia that he comes out with,
right, and a t-shirt,
wearing a t-shirt under that,
right.
Or if it was like a combat vest or like a battle vest, for a metal show where he had like a giant We Are NXT patch like on the back, something like that.
That could be cool. But I think his message tonight is We Are NXT. He is NXT, and he's going to take the title back for NXT.
Yeah.
And I think people are on board with that message. People love Bobby Roode, but they love to hate Bobby Roode. I think they're ready to see a champion that they believe is going to fight for them.
Yeah.
And it's not often that you get that. It definitely wasn't what Roderick Strong was doing. Roderick Strong was fighting for himself and his family, which I don't want to say is necessarily selfish, but it's definitely not something you do for the people.
Just to point it out, Kevin Owens is a man and this is no slouch on him. He's an amazing competitor, but he's somebody that selfishly fights for him and his family.
Absolutely.
And it's really hard not to draw parallels between him and Roddy. Now, of course, Roddy's story, or the story that we know that they gave to us, of course, makes him a sympathetic type of person, and we are supposed to feel sympathy for him, which we do, but something just wasn't connecting. This felt like this was a promo from the heart more than it was Roddy with like a notepad going like, okay, maybe I should say this, and then this. This was something where Drew knew what he had to say. He knew what he was going to start with, and he was going to take it wherever it ran. And I will say though, in the show today, in Kathy's NXT show today, Roddy did mention that he's not done with the NXT Championship yet. So,
well, why would he be?
No,
that should be on the top of every competitor's mind. That's what you fight for. You fight for the prize.
But I can also imagine anybody. I know it took place before the fact, but maybe Roddy saw the taping. We're crossing over a lot of lines right now.
Yeah.
But maybe he saw Drew give this promo and it made him go, no, I'm not done yet. Like just like how it lit a fire under us, it lit a fire under everybody in that arena. Imagine the fire that it lit behind every single person behind in that locker room.
Yeah. No, I think they felt it because everybody in that locker room is united except for Bobby Roode, really, and that is the truth. And I saw it firsthand. He segregates himself away from everybody, and it just goes against the idea of NXT. NXT is all of these talents coming together to try and prove why they belong inside of the WWE and on WWE television, but anybody who separates themselves from that, believes themselves to be better, is not doing any service to the rest of the locker room, the men and women who work tirelessly to prove why they're there. Everybody else is working hard to be NXT, and it's not the Bobby Roode show, baby. It's NXT.
Bobby Roode show, baby. Well, we've got a little bit more of a show to get to. I've loved all the discussions that we've been having, but we are supposed to be recapping the show. Let's keep recapping the show.
We're doing that.
Yeah, we're getting there. We find out that Johnny Gargano returns to action next week against the NXT debut of Raul Mendoza, who had a little bit of a presence in the CWC. We liked him a lot. He says maybe next week isn't about Johnny Gargano. Maybe next week is about Raul Mendoza. How do you find his chances?
Not good. Not good. I believe that
refreshing.
Things definitely, there are flash victories, there are upsets, but I think Johnny Gargano is without a doubt rejuvenated, and he has something to prove. I think he feels like he was thrown through a barbershop window, so to speak, and he has to prove that he is not a Jannetty here. So as far as singles competition goes, Raul Mendoza is coming up against probably the strongest Johnny Gargano that we have ever seen. We saw him in the Cruiserweight Classic, and I think this is going to that is going to pale in comparison to be compared with the Johnny Gargano that we will see next week.
Mm-hmm. Excited to see it. Speaking of something that people were excited to see, Hideo Itami versus Cassius Ohno.
Holy
this
smoke.
Was a hard-hitting slobber knocker, son of a gun. A lot of people got kicked in the face, notably Hideo Itami. One person, notably, got kicked in a very...
The not face.
No, it wasn't in the face.
Not face.
So this was Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
This is a DQ victory for Cassius Ohno, but he didn't look like he won.
No.
So
He didn't
overall,
win anything.
What was your thought about this match and the pace? And there were very little. This was essentially all strikes.
Yeah. No, and it would be. Itami possesses strength and explosive capability, but he doesn't often use it, and especially against a guy the size of, Ohno. And Ohno himself, being a larger competitor, really, really loves the striking game, and I understand why. Because his limbs are so long that he can hit anybody from a distance and really put them right into a defensive position, because they have to get on the inside of him. His legs are long, his arms are long. He can strike from a distance, from a comfortable place. So yeah, I can understand why he enjoys a striking game, and it's easier on the back, not having to pick somebody up. But what surprised me about this was the amount of time that Itami spent in the driver's seat of this match. My mind would sort of go, well, Ohno's got the height advantage, the reach advantage, the weight advantage. In my mind, I would say that he's going to be the compelling force in this matchup. That was not the case. Hideo Itami proved why he is as dangerous as he is in that ring. He is able to calculate his strikes, to hit specific points, and bring a man the size of Ohno down to his level. And it is a thing of horrific beauty to witness and hear those kicks and those strikes meeting their targets time and time again. And I was a little surprised at how much damage they were doing to Ohno, especially Ohno on the ground, and Itami throwing those kicks to his chest. I thought, Ohno should be able to eat that and come back. No, after 3 of those, he did not want any more. He was full. He was looking to get out.
Though there was one of my favorite moments of the match is when Itami sends Ohno into the ropes, comes back and tries to stop him with,
No, he did the best he could. That was as good a kick as anybody could have thrown. But
you get that boulder moving.
And Ohno on a move is a hard thing to stop.
He rolled right through it and came back and knocked the crap out of Itami and kept going.
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, there are certain times, and certain people, you just shouldn't send them into the rope.
Especially not if they're bigger than you.
And Ohno's a lot bigger.
Yeah. No, he's
Hideo Itami, dude.
Yeah. The size difference alone was, boy. And I was surprised, even still, to see Ohno after the match hitting the go to sleep technically 3 different times.
Yeah.
And that is a big competitor to lift up onto your shoulders.
No, when he first went up, he's like, he can't do that.
And yet he did, and that was after the swift kick to nether regions. Mm-hmm. Now, my critique of the referee's decision is that we see a lot of kicks, and this match especially had a lot of kicks. How do you know for 100% certain that that kick was meant to hit that region and that it wasn't simply a low kick?
I can see that. Courteous in chat says the ref made the wrong call. Itami just did a strong style inner thigh kick.
That's the question. Now it was a high inner thigh kick, which grazed the sensitive bits of Hideo or of Ohno, Cassius Ohno, and the disqualification came too soon. The fact that Itami was unfazed by the disqualification does tell me that he meant to do that entirely, but the referee shouldn't have been so quick to judge in the favor of Cassius Ohno.
Agreed. I mean, one thing's for sure, we're going to be seeing this continue. The way
and it was good.
Yeah,
it was good. I could do with a bit more.
The way that Itami treated this, it makes it seem like we're going to have some sort of no disqualification, just so that we can get a definite winner. Some sort of stimulation.
Yes,
stimulation and stipulation. Sorry, we already talked about Velveteen Dream.
That's what Ohno's going to need to recover from this. Some vigorous stimulation.
But we're pretty sure we're going to get some sort of gimmick, some sort of stipulation for this match.
Yeah.
No disqualification makes sense. I don't think we'll get
maybe a last man standing, something like that.
Maybe. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
2 out of 3 falls is usually the natural resting position for an NXT feud. Goes to 2 out of 3.
But is there time?
Well, I mean, Brooklyn is quickly approaching.
Yeah, but I mean, is there time for that now, like before Brooklyn or on the Brooklyn show? Because if we do have the Street Profits debuting, if we do have Aleister Black in action, 3 title matches plus this one,
it could be on the pre-show to Takeover Brooklyn 3.
So like
maybe
the pre-show that will air the week after,
right? And we'll get to see that kind of wrap up because it's a high-profile thing. I think it deserves to be at Brooklyn, but not necessarily on the Takeover itself.
All right. So as Brooklyn gets closer, we will find out how this will turn out. But until then, we're gonna call this a show.
It's a show.
Hobo, we did it. Hobo, what are you up to? Where can the folks find you? And what are you up to?
Biding my time.
BITING.
Always. You can find me on the Twitter at TrueHobo, and I'm always doing something. Mm-hmm. You know, my week to week is always trying just to be figured out, and who knows where I'm going to be heading to next.
Recently, we're added to the
Actually, I'll be in Vegas this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I forgot because it was last minute. So I'm gonna go to Vegas
for Future Stars, or
Future Stars is running a show, and more specifically, I'm going to meet Sami Callihan and talk about some stuff. So
sweet.
Yeah.
I love Sami. Why don't you watch the episode with Sami Callihan that we did for Xbox One to 360? That was a lot of fun. You can find me on Twitter at MarkBDonica. Make sure to find all of our wrestling content, Ringside Pop, Xbox One to 360, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and Lucha Underground. I actually did, myself and my partner for Comic-Con, Veronica, we did for Comic-Con, we had Taya and Johnny Mundo, as well as the Mac. Go check out those interviews. They're on AfterBuzz TV. Make sure to support us by going to nxteam.spreadshirt.com. Maybe we'll go to SummerSlam. If we get enough support, maybe we'll cover NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Maybe we will.
Wouldn't you like that?
Would you like that? Would you like a first-hand covering
that?
of NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3? Head over to NXT.
Like a t-shirt.
nxteam.spreadshirt.com. We put up some new stuff recently. It's a lot of fun. It's really silly. We have a fun time putting that stuff out, and we hope that you enjoy it. Thank you so much. Oh, and also follow our broadcast partner Bill Handstock at Sundown Motel.
Because he's doing soccer stuff.
He is. If you're a fan of Barcelona, make sure to follow him at Sundown Motel. But follow all of us here at AfterBuzz TV. Leave us iTunes reviews, comment down below on YouTube. But we will see you next week for the NXT After Show.
Bye bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Velveteen Dream.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.